Welcome to my home if you're new here. My name is Karen. This is my husband, Robin. Happy spring, everyone. What do you think my husband's doing? He's putting on his boots. Is he going to go out and rake? Is he going to plant beautiful spring flowers? What is he planning to do?
I'm trying to make this darkness go away.
Wait, you mean you didn't guess that he was going to go out and shovel almost a foot of snow? Really? Yeah, we didn't guess this either. And even when my friend Linda from New Hampshire told me that she was going to get a lot of snow, I was like, oh no, ours is going to turn to rain. Yeah, look at all that rain on the ground.
When everything is white, glimmering silver white, and stillness fills the night, it's Christmas, a winter wonderland, a snowball in each hand. Take me away, Christmas Day.
I know what you might be thinking. You're thinking, you live in Maine, you should know it's going to snow, even if it is the first day of spring. But hear me out. We have had a non winter winter. It's been glorious. I actually think this might be the most snow we got in one storm. If not, we only had one other storm like this. We have had winters where we would get a foot of snow for every storm. And in Maine, we always say, well, it all plows the same. You know, it doesn't matter if you got an inch or a foot. Actually, you're probably better off to get a foot because then they'll actually send the plows out. Otherwise, they're just like, yeah, drive in it, you're fine. But here's my husband out here, and my daughter Yvonne and my daughter Crecia are both headed to work. Yes, I know that's crazy. It's the craziness of youth. And they're determined to go. So we're like, okay, they're just going to learn to drive in the snow. Actually, Yvonne's driven in the snow quite a bit. So I'm assuming she's good at it because it seems to go well for her. But I will say, when they got back, they were feet from our house, and that's where she went off the road. But it was because we have been getting a couple hours of ice where they're headed more to the coastline to work, and she was on a sheet of ice because we live on a dirt road, so it doesn't get cleared off well at all. So that's why Robin's out here shoveling. We actually do have someone who plows, and he's not going to be able to come, or we don't want him to come until more toward the end of the storm because you don't want him coming three times and pay him every time, right? So Robin is just shoveling so that the girls can get out. And then we always shovel out where we keep our trash, and we shovel out where the oil man has to walk to put oil in the house for our heating oil. And of course, we shovel off our steps. So anyway, the girls they kind of went off the road right by our house, actually at our neighbor's house, two houses over, but a plow truck helped them. They said he was very sweet. So here's an interesting thing about our plow guy, the guy that does plow our driveway, is he's a friend of our son, Francois. So he's about 20 years old, and I taught him in Sunday school when he was in first grade. So that's a little small town USA for you. So it's just really neat to see him as a grown up. He's a great worker. We've had him do some other things around our yard, and he always does exactly what we ask him to do. He always does it exactly when he says he will do it. So the girls' car's running. It's all ready for them to go to work. I just thought that was very sweet of my husband to do for them, to get it all ready for them to go. And I think they're kind of excited to go out in the snow and see the storm. There were a lot of trees down. There was a lot when they were on their way home, but they made it home safely, and we're thankful. It's a DIY weekend for us. There's no better day to work on the inside of the house than on a snow day. So Robin is getting right to it. His goal today is to frame out the window in our upstairs bathroom. And he was telling me, he's like, I really just want to take my time because he understands it doesn't feel like a ton is getting done. But he's like, I don't cut all the time because I had said, should we get you a miter saw? Would that be easier? And he was like, no, I have equipment that I can use. It's just I don't do this all the time. And there's two flights of of stairs between the bathroom and the basement. So, every cut, he doesn't want to cut too much. So sometimes he doesn't cut enough. So it's up the stairs, down the stairs, up the stairs, down the stairs. And it did take him probably 4 hours total to get the window completely framed out. We went back and forth on whether to even put a window sill on the window. But then in the end, I decided, well, I have a windowsill in my downstairs bathroom, so I felt like I should have a windowsill in the upstairs bathroom too. I don't know that anybody would necessarily notice that if they were someday looking at the house, but I just felt like it was a good idea to keep some things the same between the upstairs and the downstairs bathroom, even though the colors and such are different.
This windowsill is a lot wider. So the one downstairs is 2 5/8, so it's like here.
Yeah.
Also, it has a rounded nose. Do you want me to cut it the same width
So you rounded
and then
that?
rounded? I don't know if I did it. I might have. You do it with a. You can do it when you cut.
Use the flip sided because of that.
That's going to be covered by the edge trim.
Oh.
So.
Say it again. Rounded. Same width.
Right, you can round it using a hand sander. So right. You can also use a block plane.
Right.
Right. But the point is, if you want it to look the same as it is downstairs, I need to do that now.
Can I just look at it? Can you
Yeah.
put it up?
All right, so then you're going to have a piece of wood here coming
Right.
almost to this, and then you'll have the trim going up with it.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it doesn't matter to me. I don't feel like anyone's going to remember what the downstairs windowsill looks like when they come up and look at this one.
You think this one's too wide, though? Come over to it.
No, because
Like if you're sitting on the toilet, is it in your
Oh.
face? If it's, you know what I
you
mean?
move the. No. I mean, but we could actually put something like. It doesn't. It doesn't bother me that it's wider. Does it bother you?
No, not necessarily. The only thing now is then rounding.
I'm not loving how rough this edge is.
So
I don't need it
trim it
rounded,
and then
but
round it.
yeah, if you could just give it a breeze by with something. I don't need you to round it. It's just feel that with your finger.
I know what
I
that
can
is.
see
That's
that.
extra paint.
Right, I don't like it.
Okay.
And I need you to just come here. Bask in the glory. That this thing is pointed right at the light and there's no darkness. What I'm saying there is we are both filming. So I decided to give him my phone. I haven't done a ton of filming on my phone. And always with my camera, which is a Canon GX7 Mark II, I always get, if you're pointed at the light, it goes dark. And when I put my phone up for him, I realized, oh my goodness, it's not going dark. My phone is able to handle it better than my camera. So from now on, if I'm washing a window or something, I'm so excited. I can use my phone and not have to worry about it going dark. Look at that. Also, this windowsill, he did do a breeze by to round it. What it did was it took off the layer of primer that was from Lowe's, and it had this really, if you can see, it's a really pretty natural wood color on the edge. And so I told him what I'm going to do is I'm just going to seal that. I'm going to paint the top white, paint over it. He said he would rather I waited and painted it when it was up. Not quite sure why. Either way, maybe he didn't want to take time or he already painted it. I think he already painted it, but he didn't paint what was underneath it. Either way, I'm going to just seal that natural wood color. It will go so nicely with the accents that I want to put in this room. The other thing was that piece of wood he's putting under the windowsill. We didn't buy a piece to go under the windowsill. We forgot when we were at Lowe's. So what he was saying to me was, I can put something under there. We had something in the basement, or we can wait. And I said, well, why don't you wait? And he said, okay, but I can't put the windowsill in. It'll be floppy. It needs support underneath it. I said, okay, put the piece in that you found. And he, cut the edges so that they were slanted like you see. Put it up, and then we can always replace it. If you don't mind taking it off when we get the proper wood, I don't mind you putting it up. So he went ahead and put it up. Well, then when he got it up, I was like, okay, that actually looks fine to me. So let's just keep it, and I'll paint it. One thing to note is every time you see my husband walk toward the camera, that is him going downstairs to cut something. So every time you see him walk toward the camera, that's 2 flights of stairs down, 2 flights of stairs back up. So I'm telling you, when he was done with this, he was done. But it came out so good. I'm so happy with it. So the next thing I'll need to do when he, is to dap it and to paint it. But I do realize I have some time before I do that. In tomorrow's video, you're going to see me painting out the door in the downstairs half bath, the inside of the door. I'm also going to give you a kitchen tour. I'm also putting up the new curtain in the kitchen and showing you where I am storing the glass containers for putting leftovers in, kind of like the glass Rubbermaids, and that will be in the kitchen tour. So we'll talk about, how I have things stored and how full I want my kitchen to be and how minimal I want it to be and some future projects that I would like to do. I'm not going to wait until I've done all my trim painting to do the pantry. One of you had said, please don't wait. So I'm not going to wait, but I am considering waiting to show that until I have it all done. So you can weigh in the comments section below. Would you like to see it as a day-by-day process if I don't get it all done in a day? Or would you prefer that I hold on to the footage and show it as a complete with the before and after? Or third option is I show it day by day, and then when it's all done, I do a compilation video that I show the process from start to finish. So if you could vote in the comment section below, I'd really appreciate it because I want to do it in the way that you want to see it. I also wanted to talk about kind of my design vision for this particular room. As you know, I am doing very basic colors, gray, beige, white, and that does sound very boring. I understand that. And you can see on the right-hand side, we're covering turquoise. So I've done the turquoise thing, and I'm a little bit over it. I'm looking for the calm, relaxing seaside. And now I grew up very close to the ocean. I grew up in Kittery Point, Maine. I could literally walk down to the ocean. We rode our bikes to the beach with my mom very, very often. So I grew up on the ocean. I do have things like seashells and that sort of thing in my home. I'm trying to respect the fact that I actually live near a lake and not the ocean. I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from the ocean, between 50 minutes and an hour and 15, depending on which beach I'm going to. So I want to mix lake and ocean because that's kind of my point of reference and what makes me happy. I grew up where my parents, once I was about 11, we would rent a cottage on the lake for a couple weeks every year. And now I live across the street from a lake. So, what I really love to do, kind of backpedal a little bit, is I like to have very basic colors on the walls, the floor, the ceiling, the furniture. And then I'll come in with pops of color when I'm doing decor. The curtains, maybe. Well, obviously, yes, the curtains. Most of the curtains in my house are white, but then I have that kitchen curtain. And a bathroom would be another good place to put a pop of color for a curtain. Or on shelves, things that could change out. So when I get sick of a color, it's easy enough to change it out. So I want to I have a straw shelf that I showed you on another day. And I've seen these beautiful bird statues at Michael's, and I want to get some of those. And I'm really going for a retreat. So there might be some shells and that sort of thing in here. When I say seaside or ocean style, I'm more talking about the color scheme, not necessarily having shells and turquoise. Although what I would like to do, I like to have birds. I would also like to incorporate some sea glass into this bathroom as well. So it's just going to be little accents. I don't want it to be kitschy. I think that's cute. I've seen it in other houses where they have maybe a seaside curtain or anchors and that sort of thing. I have a little bit of that. I don't mind accents, but I don't want it big and on curtains or on the shower curtain. And I am a little over the turquoise because we've had that for years. And I'm kind of going in another direction. Honestly, I would be buying those little water accents where you have the little fountains and that sort of thing that you can put on a shelf. I would be doing that if I didn't have cats. But because I have cats, I know they would be like all up in it wanting to drink from it. I hope that makes sense. So if I don't like it, I can always change it later. But that's where I'm headed right now. That is my vision. And so far, as I see this wall come together, I'm finding it very calming. We won't be able to put trim where you see the shower curtain goes to the wall. That needs trim right there going from the ceiling to the floor. But we need to install the flooring before we can put that in. So that's going to be coming up. We're actually going to be ordering the vanity and the new toilet here probably within the month, depending on when it comes in, because I can't have it coming in while we're in North Carolina in April for my son's wedding. But I can actually order that. So definitely, I'm hoping that this is a spring project and will be completed the whole bathroom in the spring. Very exciting. It's break time, and when my husband takes a break, he loves to work with dough. So he is preparing a no knead pizza crust. This is our new favorite pizza crust. He measured out 1 3/4 cups of water, and he wanted to show you how many milliliters that was. So it was 43.7 milliliters. So he's going to put the yeast into the bowl, and he's going to add 1 package of active dry yeast, and you incorporate that, stir it around, and then you wait 10 minutes and you should see bubbles. If you don't see bubbles, your yeast is dead. Don't go any further. Start over. Get some new yeast and some new water. And then he's also adding a little pinch of sugar. And that's all the sugar that is in this recipe, which is another good thing about it. Very low sugar. I'm telling you, this pizza is fluffy, but a little crispy on the outside. It is so ridiculously good. After it has had the 10 minutes, he added 1.5 cups of flour, which you don't see. He did that off camera. It calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I see he's using canola oil. I personally would have used avocado oil. So honestly, whatever oil you like is the oil you should use. After that, you're adding 1 teaspoon of salt. He's going to give that a stir, and then he's putting the dough paddle on our mixer here. If you don't have one of these standing mixers, it's really not a problem. You can use any beater, honestly. I always use a spoon. I don't even sometimes want to get the beater out. It's really not that big of a deal. So he's adding 1 more cup of flour to that mixture before he starts using the blender. The goal is just to get all of this incorporated together. It's not to use a certain number of minutes or anything like that. Just blend it until it's all well mixed together, and then you can slowly add your last 1/2 cup of flour as it is blending, or if you're stirring or using a hand mixer, just add it a little bit at a time, honestly. You know you're going to be able to do it all. So the difference for me between this recipe and the one I usually use is the one I usually use, I don't even measure. I add the amount of flour the dough can take, and when the dough is done taking it, I stop. This one, it is 1.5 cups, and then another 1.5 cups, and then stop. And you're not kneading, remember, he's just scraping the sides. You're just looking to have everything all incorporated, and that's what makes it so fluffy soft. It will be a sticky dough. It will not be dry and soft like that. I just realized I was completely wrong. I read the recipe wrong. So he did 1.5 cups of flour the first time. Now he's got that all incorporated, and he's going to do another 1.5 cups. So that is 3 total cups of flour. So after the first cup, you're slowly incorporating the flour in as it mixes. I'm so sorry about that. So it is 3 cups total, but we started with 1 cup, let that incorporate it, and then we did the other 2 cups slowly. I say 3 like I had anything to do with this. If you're wondering what I was doing, I was editing in the morning to get a video uploaded, and then I started filming some cleaning, which you'll see later. Actually, my husband did my morning routine. He was a busy bee this day, and I'm making kind of a big cleaning video for you, so it will be over time, not necessarily all in the same day. It'll be separated from the spring cleaning, but it'll definitely be some cleaning motivation, lots of it. If you are new here, you're following my journey as a person who loves her home and wants to create a home that I love, because I feel like if I have a home I love, it feeds into a life I love. So here you'll see whenever we find a new recipe that we love, we show it. We're cleaning, we're scrubbing, we're improving the house little by little. And if that sounds interesting to you, I invite you to subscribe and click the all notification bell so that YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. I am 58 years old and I have 7 children. But I am always learning, always improving my skills. I am trying to learn to do more DIYs on my own. I've never been very mechanical. So if you enjoy following that kind of a journey, I hope you'll join us. And who knows, you probably have some skills that you can share with all of us and help us down in the comments. Now he's adding 2 tablespoons of oil. He's putting this in my produce keeper, people. But you could put it in something glass or plastic. It doesn't really matter. He's spreading out the oil, and then he's going to be putting the dough in that container, and you're going to refrigerate it for 24 hours. It looks like he's blending this thing until it becomes a dough ball, and then he's going to go ahead and put it in the container. I can't remember the song, but I have this phrase in my head, a thing of beauty. Do you know that song? I don't. That's all I got. Okay, shut off this puppy. Also noticing here, he puts some oil on the dough itself because, as I said before, this is a very sticky dough, and you're not using flour to make it non-sticky, you're using oil. And now that everything is fully oiled, you're going to put it in this container, and you're actually going to leave it on the counter for 20 minutes, and then you're going to flop it around a little bit, which you'll see what he does. He calls it folding. To me, it looks like kneading, but let's stay tuned because I clearly should have watched this first before I try to do a voiceover. But stay with me. Don't leave, and I'll correct myself as I go. Okay, so more oil goes down. Oh my goodness, just a capful. Well, actually not even that. He just kind of covered the bottom. So he's okay, dabbing the fingers. Is this not the best recipe voiceover you've ever seen? So now he's folding. It is true, he's not kneading, he is gently folding. So he's going to fold that for a few minutes, stretch it out. I guess this would be called stretching. So he's going to stretch his dough, and he's not going to do this for but a minute. And then he's going to put it in the fridge. Now, if you're like, I don't want to wait till tomorrow to eat this dough, the best way to do this is to let it have 24 hours in the fridge. But if you don't have 24 hours, just make sure it's had at least an hour and a half in the refrigerator before you take it out and use it. And you'll stretch it again when it comes out. But you're going to see what we do with it, actually what he does with it, when we take it out of the fridge the next day. And it's snow and ice until midnight. And then thankfully, we did not lose power. So many people in the area lost power, but not in our immediate area, which is a miracle. We always lose power, but it wasn't real windy, and that seems to be our Achilles heel. It's the next day, and we're spreading some oil on this pan so that we can put the dough down, but the dough has to warm. And we did have a hard time waiting for it to warm, so we put it on the pan a little bit early. But, give it, I would say, honestly, an hour. Just take it out and put it on the countertop, still with the lid on for a good hour. And then you can spread it out, stretch it as much as you can, and then you're probably going to have to wait even longer once it's on the pan for it to warm some more. You're going to gently fold and stretch it a little bit as you saw him do, and now he's putting it on the cookie sheet that is oiled, and he is gently stretching it, and then he's going to let it warm again. So the warming is what helps you to stretch it to the full length of the cookie sheet, because what happens is you stretch it out and it goes back to where it was before. And it's a little frustrating. Honestly, it reminded me of the dough that you can buy that's already made in the store, but I always have a hard time stretching that too. And it's really that I don't leave it to be warm, I think. Robin is also covering it with saran wrap, which helps to keep it from drying out because you want that moisture. You want it to stay sticky and moist, but because he has oil on it, that is why it doesn't stick to the saran wrap, and we didn't have any trouble with it sticking to the saran wrap. We had left it for a good half hour, and then I came back to it to stretch it again. And as I'm stretching it, I can tell it's super cold on my hands. So I would have taken it out of the fridge earlier next time. You can see it does tend to be a little tacky to my hands, but not too terribly bad. And it is stretching better, but see how it stretches out and then it comes back in. So that was my little message to let it warm up for some more time. Robin adds a little bit more oil. He's going to give it the final stretch and then put it in the oven. I think the recipe calls for 500 degrees, but I know that 450 works just as well. So he's spreading the oil out on the dough, and this is what gives it this crispy edge. I know this seems very labor intensive. It's super easy. It just takes a long time, but it's well worth it. If you like Pizza Hut deep crust pizza, that's what it reminds me of. But it tastes homemade. In fact, when we lived in Nicaragua for 5.5 months and we would go to the Pizza Hut there, I'm telling you, that Pizza Hut, I guess he's going to let it warm up some more. That Pizza Hut dough in Managua, Nicaragua, if you ever happen to be there, tasted homemade. It was the best pizza crust I have ever had in a restaurant, hands down. Final stretch, I promise. And then you're going to end up putting the toppings on that you like, whether you like Alfredo sauce or whether you like a red sauce. We're using the Rayo's marinara sauce because we really love that so much. We were also using reduced fat mozzarella cheese. You can do some fresh grated cheese. We have a Parmesan Reggiano cheese that we like to grate on top of things that just give it a little bit of extra flavor. Then you're going to pop it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes. So what I usually do is I put the timer on 20 minutes and then I go and check it and see how it looks on the bottom, whether it feels like it's done or not. And then you're going to take it out and enjoy. So as soon as he pops it in the oven, by the magic, I will show you what it looks like. There it is. Look at the bottom of that. It is just perfection. You will be so happy that you spent the extra time on this. You will love it. Your family is going to sing your praises for life. Let me know if you try this. I would love to know. I would love to know what you did over the past weekend. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to. Remember, as always, God loves you. I love you too. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow.